Hi, everybody. My name is Bob Tremblay, Superintendent of Schools. I'm sorry I can't be with you in person today, but I wanted to take a moment to talk about the importance of building relationships in our school community. We hear about social emotional behavioral health of students and social emotional learning, and it can be kind of a buzzword in education, but it's really important that we take this seriously and what it means to us in Framingham. And for me, it means the kinds of relationships that we can build with our students, among our staff, among our parents. It's greeting students at the front door every day. It's greeting them outside of the classroom every day. But it's more than that. It's about taking a really active interest in what's happening in the lives of our kids so that we have nobody that goes unnoticed in our schools. What we've come to learn, what we've come to appreciate is that when we feel welcomed into a school environment or any environment, we can thrive. We want our students to thrive in our school community. Think about going into a party or going into somebody's house and you walk in the door and the first thing that they say is, "Well, glad you finally made it here." We don't want that kind of an environment. We want an environment that says, "I'm really glad you're here. Thanks for coming. So glad to have you." That's the environment we want to set up every day for our kids. And the social emotional learning work that we're going to do in our district is really framed around that principle. So thank you for joining me in that journey. I'm glad to be a partner with you in that journey. And welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Tremblay, and thank you for all the support you've given the Department of Health and Wellness as we have worked to create this social emotional learning program over the past several years. And we want to welcome all of you back and hope that you've had a wonderful and restful summer. And we're here today for the first of 3 informative professional development days to teach you about the social emotional learning program that we'll be implementing this year in our elementary schools. The focus of our work together is to create positive school culture that prioritizes our interactions with students, supports social emotional learning instruction, and supports and promotes student success. The Framingham Public Schools has spent the past 4 years investigating and developing a plan to integrate social and emotional learning into our schools. This is the process that we used, which was to review our data. That began in 2016 with a visit from CASEL, the Center for Academic and Social Emotional Learning. They came to our district and looked at all of our social emotional learning practices and a variety of other data to help us identify the areas that we need to grow in and help us to get started in thinking about how to plan for the future. So in 2017-18, with the help of some grants from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, the Metro West Health Foundation, and other funders, we began a very deep process of planning. Our process included a district team comprised of K-12 teachers, administrators, and senior leaders. We generated a plan which was aligned with our Framingham Public Schools strategic plan. In that plan, we defined the social emotional learning and inclusive practices that we want to implement. We identified best practices. We created a vision. We reviewed all the data, and now we have the plan, and today is the first step in the implementation of that plan. What is social emotional learning? There are many, many definitions of social emotional learning, and if we were to ask one of you or several of you in the group to define it, we would come up with many different definitions. But for the purposes of our work, we're using this definition. This definition is an adaptation from CASEL and Engaging Schools, another partner that we've been working with over the past 3 years. So that definition we're going to use is the process through which children and adults acquire and effectively apply the knowledge, attitudes, and skills necessary to develop self-awareness and positive mindsets, understand, manage, and regulate emotions and behavior, establish and maintain respectful and caring relationships, make responsible decisions, communicate and cooperate effectively, and manage learning to experience academic success. Why is social emotional learning important? A broad consensus of educators, policymakers, and researchers agree that students' mastery of social and emotional competency increases personal well-being, and it reduces problem behaviors and supports academic achievement gains. A meta-analysis of over 213 studies involving 270,000 K-12 students has found that SEL has a significant impact on student outcomes across academics, behavior, and social dimensions. These studies have found that school districts that prioritize social emotional learning saw on average 9% improvement in classroom behavior, 9% decrease in conduct problems, 23% improvement in social and emotional skills, and 11% increase in academic gains. Perhaps most importantly, however, social emotional learning contributes to educational equity. Social emotional learning benefits all children, but it disproportionately benefits children from low-income communities and children who have experienced trauma and other adversities. How can we create positive school climate and culture that prioritizes our interactions with students, supports social emotional learning instruction, and promotes student success? To begin with, it's essential that we look at each child as a whole. A child has many components of social emotional development, cognitive development, mental health, physical health, academic development, identity development, and they're a product of their relationships, their community, their family environment. Many factors go into the makeup of a whole child, and those are the whole children that are sitting in front of us every day. In addition, as adults, we must be considerate of our whole selves. We have an obligation to help our students develop mindsets and social emotional learning competencies that enable them to be good students, good citizens, and good human beings. It starts with us, and so it's important for us to reflect on our own beliefs about ourselves and about the students we serve. A few questions I'd like you to reflect on as we begin this work with social emotional learning are: in what ways do my own experiences as a student and an educator shape my practice? How do different aspects of my identity influence my interactions with students? How conscious am I of the diversity of the students I serve and what they bring to the classroom? So here's how we can do it: by creating welcoming, supportive classrooms and schools. Schools and classrooms that are intentional, meaning that we are taking the time to figure out exactly how we can best serve our children by the way we set up our classrooms, by the way we structure the school day. We bring our whole selves, children and adults. This is something that is extraordinarily important to keep in mind. And we need to develop strong, long-term relationships with our students. We need to create safe environments. We need to communicate in caring ways. We need to develop routines and consistency. We must be inclusive of all students, from the most challenging to the most lovely of students. If we do this, the result is a high engagement and connectedness between our students, with each other, with us as educators, and it leads to the joy and enthusiasm that's absolutely essential for our students' success. Through our extensive planning process for social emotional learning, we concluded that our programming will be implemented through 3 strategies. The first is environment. We need to build inclusive and welcoming school and classroom communities where every student feels valued and supported. Through direct skill instruction, there will be explicit teaching of social emotional learning skills through a variety of Tier 1 social emotional learning curricula. And then integration, where we will embed social emotional learning into academics and all aspects of the school day. We're going to touch briefly on the learning and life competencies that we have adapted through this work. We have 4 core competencies. Many of you may be aware of the CASEL's social emotional learning competencies. CASEL promotes 5 competencies, but we've landed on these 4: self-awareness, self-management, social efficacy, and academic efficacy. We chose these four because, unlike CASEL, we're including academic efficacy as one of our four competencies. You're going to learn a lot more about these competencies on September 17th. Each competency contains specific skills that demonstrate mastery, and each skill includes discrete target behaviors that you'll be learning about. Through our work with engaging schools over the past several years, we've developed 5 domains of high leverage teaching practices that promote social, emotional, and behavioral learning and student development. These practices were developed by a team that did a crosswalk of best practices from responsive classroom, positive behavior intervention and supports, and restorative practices. These high leverage universal teaching practices include positive personal learning relationships, organizing the learning environment, restorative and accountable discipline, and academic and behavioral supports. You'll be learning a lot more about these high leverage universal teaching practices later this morning. As I noted a few minutes ago, we are looking at the environment, direct skill instruction, and integration with these Tier 1 core supports for every student. For the environment, we've chosen Responsive Classroom, which is an evidence-based program that focuses on engaging academics, positive community, effective management, and developmental awareness. It's really an adult development model, and we'll be offering continuing professional development for teachers in Responsive Classroom with the goal of developing those strong classroom communities that are so important. For direct skill instruction, we'll be looking at the zones of regulation. This is a curricula designed to help students gain skills in the area of self-regulation and emotion control. Second step is a research-based curriculum with lessons that help students develop social emotional skills to make friends, manage emotions, and solve problems. In addition, we are introducing a character education theme, which is a monthly character theme for schools K-5 district-wide. For example, we'll start this year with all students learning about kindness through read-alouds and supplementary social emotional learning lessons. Each month we'll have a new theme, and we'll support schools by giving out posters, providing lesson ideas and talking points to teachers and families, and through the purchase of social emotional learning books for each school library. The integration piece is the support and continued support of PBIS in all the schools, the learning about the life and learning competencies, and the high leverage teaching practices. So today is the first of 3 social emotional learning focused professional development days. Today on August 26th, we'll be talking about high leverage teaching practices, zones of regulation, morning meeting, and collaboration. Will be some collaboration time for you. On the 17th of September, we'll look at learning and life competencies, second step social emotional learning, second step bullying prevention. And finally, on November 5th, we'll be reviewing our Panorama Education social emotional learning data, and there will be focused professional development on de-escalation and first response to behavior strategies. So I want to thank everyone for being here today and for your commitment to our students and to this new journey we're embarking on with social emotional learning. Thank you to the team at the Health and Wellness Office and the Office of Teaching and Learning who are going to be presenting to you today. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.